This is a talk on maturity and the media. Years ago, when tempted to leave the safe haven of La Trappe for the Carthusians, I was told by the good monk who was forming me in manual work, in medio stat virtus. In the middle stands virtue. This insistence on the golden mean has always remained impressed on my mind. Hence it is that I would approach the question under discussion from the point of view of this proverbial aurea mediocritas. A hermit has no enclosure but that of the will. And from the outset I was determined that that would be no less efficacious than the physical fortress of the monastery. Hence, telephone always off the hook, with a recorded message giving a mobile number, and the mobile itself always on silent, except for a discreet alert. And then again, the mobile itself always away from the bedroom, and not touched during night silence, which covers 12 out of the 24 hours of the monastic day. The mobile always outside chapel. Again, the mobile never answered in the presence of another person actually present. No radio, no television, no internet. It was only when a friend set up the website that diffused the sermons that a mobile link to internet became necessary for the checking of the website itself, but no email ever, and only minimal use of any other site, that only for research purposes. All that to explain the effort needed to preserve the sacred atmosphere where another presence reigns and has to be protected and honoured. The result is that any soul that drifts towards the hermitage is struck by the otherness of its air. God reigns. Transpose to a family home. The house always has an atmosphere. That atmosphere is made up of concrete items. Although not itself concrete, the element of sound is inseparably linked to the concrete. For sound emitters are, although in themselves inanimate, emitters of animate forces via the concrete. And sound is soul forming, soul changing. It is not an indifferent commodity in the house. Hence it is that the decision to have a transistor in on mode is not indifferent either. The will is in causa responsible, morally guilty or not guilty, for what pertains to the consequences of the voluntary admission of the messages that are to share our habitat. There is indeed a double moral issue. Firstly, that of the choice of noise, and then that of the choice of a type of message. The freedom of heart and mind that life in a noise-free hermitage gives can be claimed by any person in the privacy of a room, and, if unaccompanied, of a house. There is a fundamental difference between noise-free air and sound contamination. An invention is a conquest over nature, a participation in divine knowledge and power. Hence, in itself, a collaboration with the Creator. Its subsequent use may or may not be under the same divine blessing, as is the use or abuse of the very faculty of speech or sight. However, a serene observation of life cannot but ascertain that the specific medium of communication that came out of the mind and hands of the great Bad has, in its progressive manipulation, been used as a transmitter of ungraced messages. Hence it is that to expose oneself over a period to it is to expose one's soul to spiritual radiation, as damaging as radium might be to the most robust body. This brings me to the kernel. The essence is not the problem of the invention, but the problem of spiritual adulthood. We are stewards of the gift of time, and an immature soul, whether he be infant or old man, is irresponsible in his shedding of hours. Time lost never returns, and time sucked into a screen not only never returns, but risks never leaving time the same again. We are all changed by the use of our moments, and moments used to receive ungrace the soul for all time to come. What is seen forevermore. What is heard is absorbed forevermore. And, if heard often enough, it will dominate other thought waves. And this brings me to the correlated issue of the conquest of the air. It is not by chance that Scripture speaks of the spirits of the air. These spirits are well able to ooze from a television cathode and launch themselves in the unshielded and unguarded soul. Multiply that by a nation, and what have we? Multiply that by a planet, and what have we? The prince of the powers that infest this air never sleeps. And if a soul emerges from a quiet time with the unfallen angels before their own quiet king, that soul will feel the horror of a noise that attacks both the divine life in it and the divine presence that it hosts. In the Carthusian statutes, the brethren are invited not to raise their voices out of respect for the presence in the other. Silence is the backdrop to the interior life. To exclude silence is to exclude the interior life. A good Marist father muttered one day, not long before he died, "Hell is full of noise." To enjoy noise is to be comfortable with the sound of hell. And his giving is gentle as silence. Yes, good music, good lyrics, good harmonics, good looks echo their ultimate author. And true beauty needs space, needs an echo to be appreciated. Too much feeling leads to an erosion of the interior sensory system. Hence it is that the hermit or the Trappist is powerfully moved by a written word or a chord struck that might leave a much bombarded soul indifferent. A simplified soul is a sensitive soul, an easily enriched soul. A noise-filled soul is like a body on heroin. It needs an ever greater shock if it's to feel again. Television in 2012 is faster and louder than it was when it came out of Baird's ingenious mind. Any preacher will tell you that has taken away the capacity of the average person to sit and enjoy a spoken message of any length. The television has generated the human fidget, and very few have escaped the contamination. Any teacher will tell you that the addicted child is a distracted child, an easily bored child, a child for whom only the strong stimulation is enough. Any casual observer will tell you that the accepted way of seeing things is the way that everyone else sees it. And everyone else is the only voice that is normally given airspace. Indeed, everyone else is a great evangelizer. For hell! Hence it is that we need to think and stop and think, before, with 1 millimeter of an index finger movement, we open the channel and the means of ungratefulness.